He talks a good game. He talks a good game. On the X-Zone. He talks a good game.
Hello, welcome to On the Edge, son. Hope you're all well. So, the game last night, yesterday evening. If you were there, if you're watching on TV, let us know your thoughts. Any of the other results from yesterday and today? Let me dig out that. I'm going to talk a little bit about the ramifications of those results for us and for the other teams as well. Let's just see what your thoughts are. But some dramatic news this afternoon. Obviously, we've got another game ongoing right now. Spurs at home to Arsenal, currently 1-1, still right at the tail end of the first half. So let us know your thoughts. Before I get into the football, I just want to say I got back last night and I got into watching the boxing, which I love boxing. The Lee Wood, Josh Warrington card, caught a bit of that. White Rhino, Dave Allen, first round knockout, fantastic, really good. His opponent was crap though. I mean, let's face it, wasn't even at the standard, the levels. We talk about levels, but nowhere near Dave Allen's standard. Then we got into the other undercard, the fights on the undercard, then the main event, and Lee Wood against Josh Warrington. It's funny, when I score a fight, I look at it and I kind of think, am I scoring this correctly? Am I seeing this for what it actually is, if you know what I mean? And it was funny when I didn't see any of the scorecards, but I was just round after round, I was giving it to Lee Wood. I was just, he's the way he's boxing, the way, the way he's pointing and scoring. I thought and really right at the very end, that's where I saw one of the pundits' scorecards, and he had it exactly the same as me. All rounds to Lee Wood bar the last round, and the scorecards were probably a little bit closer than that, but I thought it was a complete shutout really. So great for both of them. Lee Wood, fantastic. Then I got up I didn't stay all through the night. Got up early this morning to watch the Ryan Garcia against Mario Barrios fight. And again, great performance, Ryan Garcia, really. And he was patient and he was disciplined. And he had the speed as well. But whereas before he would lose his head, he was really disciplined in there. Came out, new WBC welterweight champion. Let's see what happens in the boxing world. Lots of stuff going on, But that was boxing. That's what I did after the game. But let's get back onto the football. Some interesting results yesterday as well. I'm going to talk about primarily the West Ham game. But let's just get into those games from yesterday. Villa drawing 1-1 with Leeds. Leeds getting a point. That's bad for us. Brentford losing 2-0 to Brighton. So that moves Brighton a little bit further away. Chelsea 1-1 with Burnley. For us, actually, that's not a bad result. That's okay. A loss to Chelsea or a draw is fine. We drew a 0-0 with Bournemouth, and Man City beat Newcastle 2-1. Today's fixtures: Crystal Palace beat Wolves 1-0. I was hoping Wolves would beat them. Liverpool beat Forest 1-0, 90th minute plus 7 minutes, 97 minute, wasn't it? McAllister right at the death, they get their win. That helps us out massively. I've been tracking it. I spent the whole day in Oxford today, so I've just been seeing the sights and stuff like that, and being dragged around the shops and cafes and fine eateries. So I literally just got back, and I was looking at the score for 0-0. Oh, that's not good for us. Not so good for us. Then all of a sudden they've just won it. That's great. Fulham beat Sunderland 3-1. It's nothing game for us, really. But the Spurs game, again, really want Arsenal to win there just to keep Spurs in that check. That leaves 2 points now. 2 points for us, which is massive. I thought that at worst, Forest were going to get a point. That would keep it at 3 points. So if we win our next... I know these are all ifs and buts, right? If we win our next game, Forest drop points. We're away at Liverpool. They're at... let me just get back to the fixtures. Who was it? Where are Forest playing next Sunday. They're playing on the Sunday. They're away at Brighton. So a tough game there for them. What are your thoughts after the game yesterday? Okay, so this is my thoughts. I did a kind of instant reaction live thing yesterday as I was walking out the ground. Look, it's not supposed to be high production quality and everything like that. And I suppose sometimes you have opinions right after a game or during the game, and on reflection you kind of think, well, was I right? Was I wrong? There's one comment that came in, and I probably had only one comment, but came in is basically said, well, you're the only one who felt that way, because I was feeling really frustrated after the game. I think I said in the show, the live link that I was doing after the game, I said, look, I can't speak for 60,000 fans that are there, or however many bloody thousand fans were there, because I'm not speaking to everybody, right? I can't gauge it. I said, but I can only gauge from my own personal opinion of what I was seeing, and also people around me. And as I was walking out, I could overhear people having similar kind of conversations and feeling pretty disgruntled about the whole thing. That a lot of people were frustrated that it was an opportunity lost, that we should have been more offensive. We should have taken our opportunities and all that sort of stuff. And do you know what? I still stand by it. I still stand by it 100%. Look, if you're starting with one striker up front, right, that is not putting the ball in the back of the net. He's only done it once, well, twice if you count a cup game. Then we haven't got a striker up there, have we? Wilson was on the bench, and you're bringing him on at the 70 whatever minutes, whatever it is, you're bringing them on. Well, why not bring him on before, or why not start with him, right? So this is where I'm talking about having that offensive mindset, that attacking mindset, because I haven't watched much reaction to it, as I never do, because I always like to have my own thoughts, but I have watched a couple of things, right? And either from different YouTube accounts, so I'm not going to mention names because it's not right for me to do so, because I'm not going to dig anybody out like that. That's not what I do, right? But in terms of reactions, comments to different videos as well, either some are very positive about our performance and we just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. And some are just like really defending the Nuno and defending the players and everything. There are two sides to this argument, is the way I see it. And I've always stood by this. We are in the relegation zone. It's a relegation fight, and it's going to be right to the very end of the season. We've put ourselves in this position because of Potter, but more so for Nuno, for wasted opportunities time and time again. But more and more, it's about the defensive makeup of us as a team now under Nuno, a defensive stance that doesn't lend itself for us to go after teams. So like yesterday, for example, you're setting up with the back four. I was happy with Hermansen. Actually, he had a decent game. I can't fault him. It's a toss-up between him and Areola, you could argue, based on his performances. I got no problem with that. I would still favour Areola, but Hermansen didn't do anything wrong. In fact, the back four had a great game. Mavropanos and Sandazazi, I thought, had great games. Okay, sure, there's always mistakes here and there, but overall they were fine. The point I'm trying to make is that you got Magassa in there as well. You got Souček, who's got no legs, so you're trying to put Souček in positions, and he's trying to make runs, and they're trying to link up passes throughout the game. He just didn't have the legs for them. He just didn't have the leg to get onto those passes. We had Somerville had a great game, I thought. He was probably our most effective, most energetic, our player who was playing on the front foot the most. Bowen was trying, had limited success. So there was lots of good stuff going on. Tati, I thought, was busy. Fernandez, again, was a bit slow getting into the game, I thought, but eventually he was, all over the place. He's doing well. So we started off, I thought, on the front foot, and I thought we were actually taking the game to Bournemouth. I thought Bournemouth were asleep for most of the first half, really. They had their moments, but, I thought we had the better of the first half. But then it kind of dipped away. After about 15, 20 minutes, it sort of faded away, the intensity, and we just kind of settled into this rhythm of we're going to go forward, then a bit toothless in the end, then they would come at us and we would sit back a little bit and we'd sit back in our 2 rows of, well, if you go in defensive makeup, it was a 4, but Magassa was sitting deep, so then that was really a 5, and then you go forward with a 4, or it turned into a kind of holding midfield 5, or then it would get so it's basically there wasn't a lot of ambition to stifle Bournemouth coming at us to then immediately go into an attacking stance, right? Frog in a well. Hello. Good afternoon. Robin Irons, good afternoon. Hello. Thanks for joining. So my impression throughout the game was that we were, at times, fading away and we were flat. Now, on top of this is where I really want to make my point. And I don't know if you saw it and I don't know if you felt the same way. So, bear with me, right? There were times when Bournemouth were definitely, it appeared, playing for the draw, that they just didn't seem to have that intensity going forward, right? So I'm getting buzzed here. They didn't seem to have that intensity to go forward, from the first half and into the second half. In fact, the first half, I thought they were just playing it safe and they were waiting for the second half to see what happened. As long as they could contain it to 0-0, they were happy to take it into the second half and see what happened then, right? But a lot of the time they seem to be wasting time, slowing the game down for throw-ins, for corners, whatever it was. Goal kicks, right? Very much a playbook out of the Arsenal. It was, a tactic out of the Arsenal playbook, I thought. Very much that's what they were doing. I was just like, oh, right, okay. And we were getting really frustrated. Everybody was getting really frustrated where I was, right? We were hurling other people were hurling abuse. I was just saying absolutely nothing whatsoever. I was a saint, I can assure you. That right back, Jimenez or whatever he's bloody called. Because he was, he went late through a tackle and he was trying to give it a bit that to us. As soon as he did that, he was doing this, and as soon as we just went for him, honestly. And then we started it. Billy Bonslow, I'm telling you, we started it. Then the rest of the crowd got onto it, but we were the ones who noticed it first, and we were giving it right back, and we were giving him pelters, right? So there was this. All this was going on. We started to fade away, and then there were moments where we had throw-ins, or we had corners, or we had goal kicks, and we were slowing it right down as well. And I'll give you an example, right? Let's just say sometimes where a team is down and they score, right? But they need another goal. You'll see that whoever scored the goal, the striker, whoever it is, they'll run into the goal. They'll try and grab the ball so they can quickly get back to the halfway line to, get it moving so they get more time. Or, it goes up for a throw-in. They're really quick to get the ball and get the ball back into play. There's a free kick. They really want to take a quick free kick because they really want the game. There was that you see that intensity to quickly, we got to chase this game. We've got to go after this game. What I saw of yesterday, I saw very, very little of that. In fact, I saw none of that from a lot of the players, and especially going into the second half when we were having our opportunities, which we kept on fluffing our lines. We we just could not hit the target, or we just couldn't get it past the keeper. Right? They had a couple of opportunities, a couple of great chances as well. And, in the end, the shot wasn't that great, or it just went past the post, or just went over the crossbar. But they were presenting themselves as a real danger. In those moments, we weren't closing them down. We were just letting them come at us, run through us, and nobody was putting a hard challenge in. Nobody's really going for it. So we were lacking a bit of intensity. We were just kind of containing, but not really being aggressive. This is what I thought. This is what maybe you saw something different. Yes, we were trying to be attacking in some in some moments, but it was like safe attacking. It wasn't really, we didn't have a lot of aggression there. We didn't have a lot of intensity there. There was something kind of missing, right? I'll get into the comments in a little bit as well, because I really value what you say in your opinion. I'm only giving you what my impression was, right? So Magassa comes off, he brings on Kante, and Kante didn't, he was kind of ineffective, right? There wasn't really. Wilson comes on, right? Again, I didn't. He had that one opportunity, but he was, again, if you look at his movement, you look at his kind of engagement in the game, getting involved in the play, there wasn't a lot for him to. He wasn't getting engaged, and he was out of position sometimes. And you kind of think, Tati was up there playing more left, on the left side, if you know what I mean, but not on the left wing. I'm talking left to centre. Wilson occupied the right of centre, where some moments you kind of think you want Wilson right in the middle, right number 9, right in the middle there. Why there's this big gap in there? The ball so many times was cleared out of defence or cleared from midfield, and it was just pinged forward, and it just went. We just lost possession straight away. In fact, it went nowhere. It was almost like ran out of ideas. Just hoof it up the ball, up the pitch, and ran out of ideas. We were screaming, just get the ball on the deck, just pass it. If you're going to pass it long, make sure it goes to somebody or goes, near another one of our players. In fact, it was going nowhere near one of our players. So there was lots of frustrating moments during the game, and I get it when fans are kind of. They're looking at the last few games and they're saying, we've been doing well, we've been playing well. Or I read comments or see headlines, it's a point well earned and all this sort of stuff. And I'm like going, a point's not good enough. A point is not good enough, right? And I'll hold my hand up here, 100%. I hold my hand up because I've got bloody impatient. I've really got impatient with this whole thing, being in the relegation zone for most of the season, and just, every time we have an opportunity to, try and get a grip on a game or try and go after the opposition, we just don't. And time on time, it just brings me back to Nuno being generally defensive in his stance, in his setup. And we have opportunities to really go for it. Now, you could say, actually, yesterday wasn't totally Nuno's fault because we're getting ourselves into opportunities into the final third and we were just missing the target. We just weren't there. It just wasn't clicking yesterday, right? The problem is now time is ticking away, right? We're running out of time. We've got 11 games left or whatever it is. How many games have we got left? Let me just get onto the tables here. We've got, 11 games left. We've got 11 games left. We haven't got a lot of time to be messing around here. We haven't got time to be to dropping points. I was saying before the game, and I was saying on another channel, I did a live link for West Ham Network. I did a live link for them, and I was just posing the question. I think I even said it on my live before the game. I said, you see lots of fans walking around, running around, whatever. 60-odd thousand coming, thousands trying to get through the security cordon. You think, if we go down, what's going to be the makeup of the match day experience next season? What would change? Because you're not going to have all these fans anymore. You're probably going to have 35, 40,000 if we're lucky. And if we stay down there and we can't get back up, then that's probably going to reduce, right? So we're kind of expecting. But if you take it a little bit further away from the stadium, the pubs, the cafes, the little restaurants, people getting bites to eat, all that kind of, that's going to shrink. That's all going to change. So you get good time vibes and you go to different pubs and you have good time vibes before you go into the stadium, right? That might all change next season. I mean, I'm not saying it might be different, but it might change. I was saying yesterday that, you go to games, and if you go to games and like your season ticket holder and you go to your seat and you go to a certain part of the ground, you kind of know faces, right? I'm not talking about those immediately around you. I'm talking about, or even going into the turnstiles. You kind of pick out faces, okay, I know. I've seen you at games before. These days, actually, not these days, this season in particular, I've noticed so many different faces that I've never seen before. In fact, virtually everybody. I can pick out quite a few people around me that I know that have been there with me, for a few years, let's say. But there's lots you kind of think. Now, I don't know if we are season ticket holders, as is sometimes the case. I can't get to the game, so I might put it on Ticket Exchange, and that's what's given the opportunity for other fans to go in. But at the same time, it's been really diluted. And I've talked about this at other games when you get fans of other clubs going in there, and you're going, what the hell's going on? So I think that the longer we stay in this position, the longer we have a situation where we're not going after other teams, the more likely it is that we're heading towards that situation where we're going to have a totally different league. Of course, we're going to have a totally different match day experience. We have a manager that is persistent in a style of play that is not giving us the best opportunity to get us points. That is not going after the juggler. That is not going after teams. We've got strikers that are not putting the ball in the back of the net. I love Tati. I've got to say, I'm singing it and singing after him all game long. Honestly, you see people around me, and I'm singing. I'm going, go on, Tati, get on your head, Tati. Love it. Go on, get in there. Right, love it. I'm doing all that because I actually value him. But he's not putting the ball in the back of the net. It's simple as that, right? You could talk about Pablo, you could talk about Wilson, you could talk about any of our strikers. You could go back, Fulkrug. You could talk about Ings. You could talk about any of the strikers that we've had. They're not putting the ball in the back of the net. Now, there's various reasons for that. Various reasons, not playing for their strengths, just weren't good enough, they're injured, all this kind of stuff, right? But right now, we've got a situation that we got one that's croc, we got the other one that is on the pitch showing lots of energy, and I think he's a hammer. I think he's one of us, Tati. He's got that attitude because in the first half, I'll give you a little insight into Tati, right? When Jimenez, their right back, went through one of our players, it was I can't remember who it was actually. Let's just say it's Wan-Bissaka, but I don't think it was Wan-Bissaka. It was right on the touchline, right in front of us. He went right through him. Right, should have been a free kick. I think they got a throw in. And that's when we went right after Jimenez, right? And then he started to give a little bit back to us, so we were right in there, right in his face, right? What many people probably never commented on, right? And if you were there in our area, if you're Billy Bonslower, right? If you're there, you would know this because you would have seen it, right? Tati came right over to Jimenez, and he was basically saying, "Oi, don't freaking do that here." Don't, he's talking in Spanish to me. Don't freaking do that here. No, watch yourself because, you're going to get, we're going to. And I thought, fair play to you, mate. Fair play to you. You went over to him and you said, oi, watch yourself. And I thought that warms, that endears me to a player, right? But regardless of what I feel about him personally and how much of his work rate I like, the fact of the matter is we are getting into the final third and we're not sticking that round thing into the net. That's it. Right? So, when people will listen to me and they were saying, oh, look at him, he's just being negative again. Oh, look at him, he's just coming out of the stadium and he's just being, down and negative and frustrated. And what's the matter with him? That's a great point we got. Look, it's a great point if it was against a really tough team who wanted to try and batter us. But Bournemouth weren't that team yesterday. They were happy to get the point. They were happy to contain the situation. They weren't that fussed, really. They're away from home. They did enough. They were happy. That's the impression I was given anyway. And if we were in their position, look, it would be a point. It would be another point on the board. It was what it was. It is what it is. I'm not going to complain too much. But the fact of the matter is, we have not been in that situation all frigging season. We're in the bottom three for a reason. When this season is done and dusted, when when the final game is played, when the final goal is scored, when the final point has been gained or lost or whatever, you'll be looking at this, and you're saying, right, if we get relegated, we deserve to get relegated. If we stay up, right, even if we win quite a few games and we go into 14th, 13th, 12th, whatever, right, some kind of miraculous recovery right in the last few games, and we get right up there, it will not be a great escape. I know people are talking about this great escape like we did years ago. It's not a great escape too. No, it's the luckiest escape. It's the luckiest escape that you've finally been able to do it. And this is not a season that you're going to look back on and go, oh, I really enjoyed that season. No, you won't, because most of the time you're really frustrated thinking, what a load of old crap I've just been watching all season. How frustrated I've been with the players, how frustrated. More so with the manager. No, I don't have a lot of frustration with the players, I've got to say, for their effort and for what they're trying to do sometimes. And I like how we've shaped up. I love Mavropanos, Dinos as he's got in there. And he's it's no-nonsense football. But again, lacking that quality in trying to get that ball out of defence going forward. Disasi, I like. I like Wan-Bissaka. You know, again, there were moments he was pulled out of position, but then he put that last-ditch tackle in. There was clearances off the line. There was a couple of times that went through, and Wan-Bissaka was, that last-ditch defender yesterday. Juve, I thought had a quiet game going forward, but I thought defensively he was doing all right. So I thought Magassa didn't have the greatest of games, but in terms of what he was doing, it was okay. Fernandes I thought was slow going in there. Souček I thought was doing all right, but again, as I said before, he just doesn't have the pace to link up in terms of an attacking way in the way they were setting up yesterday, right? Souček, if you notice in the first half especially, was coming over to the right side, trying to link up with Bowen, trying to link up with Wan-Bissaka, and they were trying to play triangles around it, and it just, there were quick passes for Wan-Bissaka and Bowen, and Souček was just out of position, or the ball wasn't going near him. He was trying to chase it, and he was just getting anywhere near it, and then we were losing possession. That didn't happen once, that didn't happen twice, that happened 4 or 5 times in the first half. That I noticed, right? And then you might have noticed before. So when people listen to me and they look at it and they're saying, oh, God, just be negative, you should respect the point and everything like that. We're now we're only 2 points away, right? Up until the 97th minute today in the Forest-Liverpool game, we were 3 points away from safety. Not even safety, just to be level on points. So this is what I'm saying. This is nothing to be happy about. This is nothing to be waxing lyrical about how fantastic we're doing. Yeah, we're sticking in there. We've got a bit of fight in us. Fantastic we got this fight in us. But the fact remains that we're not getting the ball in the back of the net. We should be getting closer. We should be putting their keeper under a lot more pressure. We should be getting a goal, getting a couple of goals. And once we've got a goal, once we've got a couple of goals, it's almost like Nuno repeatedly says to the players, right, just take the pressure off now. You've done enough. Take the pressure off now. Don't get carried away. Oh yeah, and that's the problem is as soon as you do that, that gives the other team hope, and they come in and they come at you. Do you know what I mean? It's just, I could go on. Let's just look at some of the comments here as well. Sorry, I haven't got into this. Respect the point. There we go. After I've just played that. After the Forest game. Well, again, lucky we're 2 points away, right? So yes, of course I respect the point, but in the moment, this is what I'm trying to say to you, in the moment, the way I felt yesterday and the way I felt today was that the point isn't enough. Frogging away, hello, oi, how you doing, mate? On the bright side, Paul, don't look too clever. Well, yeah, they didn't. Agree about Scouts. We need to get at them, but Nuno will go for the point and 5 at the back and pack midfield. Yeah. Nick, another draw maybe if we're lucky. Nick, another draw maybe if we're lucky. Yeah. Tati. It's no striker. Great effort, but no striker. Absolutely right. That's exactly what I thought. Wilson could have been on much earlier, fearful, and yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I thought. Drop Bone for the Hulk. Well, it's interesting. He didn't even feature yesterday, did he? Didn't even feature, did he? No, he didn't feature at all. So I can't really think, yeah, it looks stale. Mavs a skipper. You know, people talking about Bowen. You know, there's something else going on and everything. Maybe there is. Maybe there isn't. I wouldn't say he looked flat yesterday. He just looked a bit as if things weren't going right for him as well. Do look dodgy. Yeah, Liverpool do look dodgy. I'll give you that. Yeah. Podgy, hello, good afternoon. Thanks for joining. Defence, looks reasonably competent at the moment. That's for Spuds dropping bollocks. Lots of luck. Seems, our best hope. Yeah, okay. We've got to talk about this. Lots of hope. Well, what's the latest score for, I suppose, is it restarted for Spurs? Yeah, just Spurs. Arsenal still 1-1. I'm thinking, Budgie. I'm thinking that we will end up beating the teams we shouldn't. Yeah. The thing is, you know, we are West Ham. We are that team that will go and get a result against somebody else like that. On the subject of Dinas, I think he's improved us so well. Yeah, he should have been man of the match. Yes, he was great. He was fantastic. And you know, I was remarking about Dinas in the Burton game, right? Burton Albion game. In that first half, he was weird. It was almost like it was Jekyll and Hyde. He was making some horrendous mistakes, misplaced passes, but at the same time, he was making some great headers, great interceptions, last ditch defending as well. It was great. So, you know, in the second half, he seemed to settle, making less errors, but being great for us. So, look, you know, when we talk about defensive setup, we seem to be not doing too badly. Todibo was there. Disasi's come in. We look all right. We look all right. You know, I'm not saying that if, you know, teams didn't come at us a lot more that we'd be able to deal with them. But so far, we look all right. You know, it does give me a bit of pause for thought, bit of concern when obviously Bournemouth are attacking us and we let them get a shot away and we seem to be backing off them. And it just gives me pause for thought when we are having those lulls in games and we invite the opposition onto us as we were doing yesterday, again, because we keep on doing that. But at the same time, you know, it's frustrating. Look, I came away feeling really frustrated. I think there was the general feeling, and again, I can't speak for everybody, of course I can't, but you kind of get this vibe. The general feeling, and maybe myself, and maybe a couple of others around me, and maybe a few behind me, and you know, a few back and a few forward, is that in the closing minutes there was times where not even Bournemouth, forget about Bournemouth, because they were going to take every opportunity to time waste, right? Of course they were. But there was that lack of urgency, that lack of need to get up from a tackle, from to take that quick goal kick, to take that quick throw in, that get that free kick going. You know, they seemed to lack something. And we could sense it, or I could sense it, and we were just hopping mad. Just like, hold on a minute, you do realise we need points here. You do realise it. Look, boys, you're tapping it around, you know, amongst you, between the goalkeeper and you know, either Mavropanos or Disasi, right? You're tapping it around there, and you're making it slow come forward. You do realise the goal is that way, right? You know, that way. You do realise it. It's over there. Kick the ball towards that way and get it up there as soon as you can. And this, you know, as the clock started ticking away and time is running out, that kind of urgency to get that ball up there becomes more intense, becomes more paramount, that we actually try and get forward. But there was time and time again where we just didn't seem to have that urgency. And again, you're looking at, you know, people as fans are looking at Nuno, right? And if you feel like this, I'm not having a go. I'm not saying you're wrong, but this is where I see it. This is where my thought process is for this, right? Because I see it's that we're in the bottom three. We are desperate for points. And I've run out of patience a long time. Let me just wet the whistle here. we've run out of time. Every point is crucial. Every game is crucial. We've put ourselves in a position where we cannot afford to lose, because if we drop points, we are hoping that other teams will pull away from us. Would also lose or drop points, so they don't pull away from us. We got lucky today that Forest didn't pick up a point at least. And maybe most of us hoped that Liverpool would beat Forest anyway. But we hoped that, that they wouldn't. We're hoping that Spurs, here we go, Arsenal have just scored against Spurs. They are now, Gyökeres just got their goal. Eze in the first half, one in the first half for Spurs. Arsenal winning 2-1. Let's hope that continues, right? Not Spurs sympathiser at all, but in this case, we need Arsenal to win, right? So that's great for us. Fantastic. But again, we're hoping that teams above us still stay within touching distance. Because if Spurs had anything about them the last few games, they shouldn't be in that position anyway. They should have pulled away. Leeds the same. They've... couple of games they've sort of dropped points, but also they were stuck in there and they keep on chipping away to go there. But you got other teams in there that have actually said, no, we're going to pull away. Fulham's, I think, have done that in the last couple of weeks. Brighton, I think, have come good in terms of that. Newcastle, I think, have done that. Although they lost to Man City, they pulled away the last couple of weeks. There's lots of teams that are bunching up ahead above us, and now a few of them have started to pull their finger out and started to try and pull away. I know there's still 11 games of the season to go, but you get my meaning that there are some teams that are still in it with us, and it's their own bloody fault. That's great for us, of course, but for them, it's terrible. But for us, it's lucky that they are still there. Because if they keep on winning, and let's just say we keep on winning, well, we've got to hope that they lose. We've got to hope that they draw. So right now, they're doing us a favour, a big favour, that we can stay within this, a couple of weeks. But there we go. Let's just get on to some other comments here. What's an interesting one? Budgie. Has anyone else in the report on the stadium renaming? Apparently they are considering calling it the Law Courts. It's where everyone who visits are not guaranteed to get points. Very good. Very good. We need a goal scorer from the academy on the bench. Well, but who is it? Who's there? From the academy? Who was there? That can come in. Who? I don't. There isn't anybody there. That's the problem. We've got a problem. Look, this is something that, as we all know, the problem is, and I've mentioned this in previous games as well, or previous live shows, previous videos, whatever you want to call it. And by the way, before I get into that, thanks for all the support. Thanks for joining the live chat. Thanks for the comments. And if you want to disagree with me on stuff, I got no problem with that. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. But thanks for your support, and thanks for watching and doing what you do. And listen, just spread the word, as it were. Tell people that you're watching. It's nice that people are coming up to me and calling me by the channel name. It's nice, and it's nice that people are, say I'm always open for a chat and willing to, talk about anything. I'm more than happy. I'm an open book. I know I come on here and I'm talking negatively about the game and frustrated, but as a person, my natural way, I'm a very happy, easygoing kind of. I'm content, even when I'm frustrated, and I'm content. Everybody gets frustrated, but I'm a content person. I'm a happy person. So, unfortunately, the way I look, and sometimes if I'm thinking about something, and I do get a kind of expression that's not very welcome, but I honestly guarantee you that I am a very welcoming, nice person, right? So I always appreciate all the support and all the interactions that I get, whether online here in terms of chat, whether any support going to my website, or any emails. Still get lots of emails from my different channels as well. So I always really appreciate that, right? But the thing that what was I talking about? Yeah, okay, coming off the bench, or coming off what we got on the bench, what we got on the academy. The points you could say anybody from the academy, are they going to come in? Are they going to be better than we've got? Well, I suppose the answer to that is, well, we don't know until we put them in there, right? But right now, we've got Tati. Pablo, I don't know. Maybe in a couple of weeks, he could be coming back. But again, we know what the quality was there anyway, right? You know, I said this when we got Tati, right? I said this, that I know Lazio fans in Italy, and they're basically, they weren't so much laughing. They were kind of saying, all right, you can have him. It's fine. You can have him because he doesn't score for us. He doesn't do a lot for us, right? You can have him. It's fine. And that's is essentially what's happening. I love Tati. I actually he's one of my favourite players right now for his attitude, for his work rate, for his desire, for his, just sticking it. And, I feel that he's become he's become a hammer straight away. That's what I feel, right? I know it's, football players are fickle and fans are fickle and everything like that. But that's my feeling towards him. But I go back to this very point, that he's not putting the ball in the back of the net. Wilson's not given the opportunity, really, to show himself. This is what I was saying before about Wilson, right? I mean, see if you follow me along with this. See if you say the same thing. Because maybe it's just me sometimes. Maybe it's just me thinking about things in a weird and wonderful way, right? Because I could be completely, get the old shepherd's crook on me, pull me away because maybe I'm talking up my arse again. But let me put this on you, right? Last time we played Bournemouth at the Vitality, Wilson in the first half gets 2 goals. We know that Nuno made the biggest buck up of his life. He pulls them off for 52 minutes or whatever it is, and that's it. That gives them, they come back at us as well, and they get their second goal, and then they're drawing with us, right? And everybody's wondering, why are you pulling Wilson off? Why don't we just go after them, right? So this is it's a recurring theme. We know this is what my thoughts are of Nuno in terms of going too defensive, settling for not going after an extra goal, settling for a draw or something like that, right? So my thought process yesterday was, okay, I saw the team sheet and I'm going, and I was in the pub, right? I was actually getting a message, and they were telling me what the team was early. I got it quite early, right? So I was just like this, and I was just going, what? So I could hardly hear it. I was just going, what? And I was just like, no, he hasn't started. Wilson, what's going on? Is Wilson on the bench? What's he doing, right? Because I only got the first team, the first 11. So my thought here is, and I know I've gone about the arses about this one, gone around the houses on this one, but if you're a Bournemouth player, you're a Bournemouth fan, and you don't see Wilson on the bench, you don't see Wilson in the starting lineup, does that give you a boost or does that make you fearful, right? Because if Wilson is starting, those Bournemouth players immediately going to be thinking, Wilson, he got 2 against us in the first half, and it was only because they subbed him that we got back into this game. We're going to be mindful of him. We're going to be a bit nervous here. Psychologically, it starts playing on your mind. So I don't know what the fuck is going on in the backroom staff here or with Nuno in terms of psychological warfare. But I tell you what, somebody needs to give him a frigging lesson, because you missed the trick here. The biggest trick you had there was starting Wilson and making the Bournemouth defence in their midfield nervous. And we didn't do it. So again, time and time again, you come back to me, or you, as in the general you in the ether, right? Come back to me and say, why don't I like Nuno? Because you're making fundamental errors here that are not enable us to get the best advantage, right? And I would take this one step further, right? I'm a huge fan of performance analysts. I know I'm a boring twat, I know, right? Of performance analysts and people like that. I'm a huge fan of cycling, British cycling. Not so much of cycling, but it's all right. It is what it is. I watch it, when the Olympics come along. All right, I'm one of those guys. But what I'm a huge fan is the guy who took British cycling from being okay to being gold medal winners and winning everything. Right, Dave Brailsford, right, and he was one of those performance guys who looked at everything. And lots of modern teams now, they do this in American sports as well, in particular, but they do it across many other sports disciplines. Now it's very much a modern way of doing it. And the ex-rugby coach, ex-rugby manager, when England won the World Cup, he was one of these guys as well. Kind of looked at details, but they look at every little thing that could have a positive or negative impact on player performance or on your opposition, right? They would look at lots of different things. Our coaching setup doesn't have any of this. Doesn't appear to have any of this when they're looking at things that what can give us the slight edge. And when I talk about an edge, 0.5%, 1% here, where you raise all your markers by 0.5%, 1%, 2%. Overall impact is about 5-10%. 5-10% over your competitor is massive. Now, okay, in terms of cycling, in terms of athletics, it can work in different ways, of course, because the dynamics are different. However, in terms of that, you've got your ace card there, Wilson, that scored a couple of goals against them. And you're not even starting with him. So then when he eventually brings them on at 70 minutes, people are saying, fans are saying, oh, well, he was attack-minded. He was changing it in-game tactics. And he was going after the win. Yeah, but you're bringing him on at 70 minutes where we're already starting to lose a bit of momentum. You should have either started with him, which is the ideal, or you should have brought him on a lot earlier in the second half, maybe on 50 minutes or something like that. Change the game up. But you didn't do it. Do you know what I mean? I despair with it. Frog and well. Leslie Ayala could have Daddy. Yeah, look. If you watch my stuff from many, many moons ago, I'm always a big advocate of getting players on, squad players or academy players. So come on, put them on the match day squad, on the bench, and just bring them on for the last 5 minutes. This is one of the things that I said against Burton Albion, which I was totally dead against, right? You don't start a game with your second tier players, with your squad players, and expecting them to have amazing results, to have that knowledge of each other, that communication with each other, to gel with each other. It's just insanity. It just doesn't work. What you need to do is just regularly blood those players in, give them 5 minutes here, 10 minutes, a couple of minutes here, get them to touch the ball, get them used to being in that environment, that stadium, whatever it is, and that brings them on. And you keep on doing that time and time again. You rotate them through, you keep on coming on. So then you can have these academy players, and you can get a real feel of how they're settling into the match day squad or to the senior squad environment. So then you can bring these players on and say, okay, go on, lad, see what you can do, right? Landers at his best, but maybe okay for 10, 15 minutes. Yeah, maybe. You're indeed a nice person. Thanks very much. In fact, I'd love to have you on the Old School Hammers this week. Bless you. I'd love to come on as well. Thank you, Budgie, mate. Pabby don't last 90 minutes. Yeah, I mean, Pablo's obviously gone now, isn't he? Well, he's gone. He's injured. I don't know what the latest is in him coming back. Tatty, look, he's running around like a blue-ass fly, bless him. I'm hardly supplying. Wilson, I played Wilson for the first half. Yeah, exactly. They said you're bringing them on just to think, okay, go on, Callum. You go and do it. All our faith is in you now. And it's just like, that's not going to work. Nuno hasn't grasped the gravity of the situation. I'm 100% with you on this. 100%. I just don't think the old pennies dropped at all. I feel he's got a complacent approach. That's why a new coach is endearing himself to the fans. At least he is at least trying to push us forward. Yeah, I wonder if Paco wasn't there. Paco James wasn't there. Would we have played as well as we have done in the previous games, the last few games? Where would we be? We might all have been dead and buried. 3-1. Yes, thank you. 3-1. Arsenal. Oh, they're running away with it now. Eze got his second goal. There we go. Well, that's great for us. Brilliant. It's brilliant. The gods are shining upon us. Footballing gods are shining upon us. No doubt. And then 10, 15 minutes. Oh, sorry. Yeah, always like Arsenal. Yeah. But today we do. Today we are rooting for them. I don't think we need to root for them anymore. I think they've got this sewn up, thankfully. Look, this is where I see it. Honestly, this is where I see us. And I say, I always hold up my hand because I go into the stadium. A couple of days ago, I was really hopeful. Positive vibes. And I thought, no, I'm feeling good about this. I think we're going to go there and we're going to get a result. And what I was saying was, I think it's going to be pretty tight, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and I think it's going to be an open game. Well, I think it was an open game, both teams, and I think it was, but it wasn't so tight as I thought in the first 10 minutes. I thought it was pretty open from our point. We were having a better of it. But it was just frustrating because you can't put the ball in the back of the net. And you can't, and I thought there was a bit of frustration from the players as well, and the misplaced passes and the balls that were hit long and they were going to nowhere. And it was just sort of like, okay, fine, you clear your lines, don't get me wrong. But also, if you lose possession, you just invite pressure back onto us straight away. So, it's frustrating. I think it's frustrating. As I say, I've lost the patience. I've lost patience with Nuno right from the very start. I just didn't think he was the right manager for us. And time again, I am finding things to reinforce that bias that I have towards him. Okay, I'll be fair. I'll be fair to any of you out there watching this or watching this later that you think you've just got a bias against Nuno. I have. I hold up my hand. I have. Because what I'm seeing time and time again is our ability not to get after teams, especially those teams where you think there's a real good chance that we could get more than a point, that we could get a win, right? Especially in game, you can see that they have not really come in to attack us. They're not really trying to get 2 or 3, 4 goals past us. They're just trying to contain the game. Frogging a well. Iraola seemed well happy with the draw. I bet he was because I do not have a bad thing to say against Bournemouth. In fact, they're fans. I don't have a bad thing to say against them. And this is probably the problem that we had yesterday, is that we didn't hate them enough. We didn't hate them enough to want to stick it to them. And maybe that's it. Maybe they're just nice, aren't they? Bournemouth, I could be wrong. Many people have a different opinion, but their fan base don't seem like a shithouse fan base. They seem all right. The club, nice club. They work miracles with what they've got. Well-run club. Lots of things. Yeah, good. I don't have any bad feeling towards them. And maybe that's it. Maybe we just thought, do you know what? We could get a point. Oh, we did all right. Well, a right's not good enough. That's the thing. A right's not good. And I've lost patience with it. And I know I have. But I can see it down the road. I can see us down the road, and I come to the end of the season, Leeds, the last game of the season, and I can see us down the road, and I'm going to be thinking one of two things. Once, it's been an absolute shit season, regardless of where we are, and we've had multiple shit seasons, and we have multiple times being frustrated with our managers, our performances, and the ownership, and it just goes on and on and on. And there's all these rumours about Karen Brady giving the old Spanish Archer and everything like that. Who the frig knows right now? or we're going to get relegated. And as I was saying before, what would the match day experience be like for next season? Who's going to go? Because I don't know if you go to the games. I don't know if you look at the thing. I know when I walk around, look, how can I put this in a way that doesn't make me sound like a complete twat, right? There are a huge variety of people go into football, as it should be. I'm very much more of inclusivity. Get as many fans. If they are your fans of your club, absolutely. I'm not sure that the match day going fans are made up of fans that would be there thick and thin, or that will always want to go to the games, right? I'm not going to say any more than that, because actually it's irrelevant of demographics. It's irrelevant of where you come from. But my point is that what we have right now is that we have the allure of the Premier League game. You're going to watch a Premier League game. You're going to watch West Ham, whether you support them or not, right? You're going to watch West Ham in the Premier League, English Premier League, best league in the world, all that kind of stuff, right? Which it isn't. It doesn't seem to be that more, or it doesn't seem to be the most entertaining anyway. Oh, best league in the world, fantastic, right? Next year, if we're in the Championship, you won't have that appeal anymore. So you won't have that same kind of draw. So the whole thing is going to change. The whole thing is going to change next season. Mark my words. But, right now I can't think about next season. Right now you can't think past the next game. You got Liverpool next. That's the most important one. We got to go up there. I know how I would play against Liverpool, and maybe you have a different view. But I know how I would play with Liverpool. And to put it into boxing parlance, right? You still got to have your guard up, but you got to let your right hand go, right? It's as simple as that. If you're watching the boxing for last, like Ryan Garcia, he had his left hand up, I should say. You got your left hand up, right? Because he's orthodox. Left hand up, and he would bang, speed, accuracy, right hand, right down the ping, right? That's what you do. A balance. What we seem to be having right now is too much of a balance in terms of focusing on defensive makeup. And yeah, defensive we've got better, right? But what that means is that we're not putting the right hand anymore. We're not putting the right hand down. I don't know why I've got on there like this. We're not also getting in a hook as well. And we're not coming in with a. Do you know what? We're just kind of going, yeah. We're sort of, if I was, I'm the other way around as well. I'm a southpaw, right? But if let's say conventional, it's almost like you're jabbing. This is us going forward. We're jabbing, but we're not really. We're not really popping it out there. Do you know what I mean? We're just kind of, and this is what they do in boxing now. A lot of boxers, they touch, they try and, gauge distance, and they're trying to just occupy the space so it kind of, and I'm doing it to you now, and you kind of get confused with your hand or with your eyes, and you go, what's he doing? Get your hand out of the way, right? And that's what they do. And this is kind of what we're doing in terms of the way we're playing. We're going forward and we're getting in the position, but we're not really doing anything. We're not sticking it to them. We're not sticking it hard enough. We're not really hurting them. And we're not making them think. And we're not making them, flinch. We're not doing anything like that. Do you know? What can I say? We got to go in there, budget. Absolutely. We got to go in there with the fight and desire. Knockout punch. We got to go in there. Like I said this a few weeks ago, and I keep on repeating it. I had an old headmaster when I was at primary school. Never forget him. And he would always say, we'd score a goal, and he would say, let's go and get another one. Let's go and get another one. You get managers, professional managers throughout history, and they'll say, you got to score. You got to keep on scoring. We don't have that at all. There's nothing in his makeup that says, go and get another goal. Go and get another goal. Let alone trying to go for the win. You do realise that football is a game that you aim to win. That your goal, your mindset is to go and win. Not to go and draw, to go and win. You should be, the mindset is to play your best 11 players to get the round thing into between the sticks that's got a net on it, right? That's what you should be doing. I'm not sure he does. Could we get anything against Liverpool? We could. We could go up there and pull a blinder. We could. The way Liverpool are playing right now, anything is possible, right? But we're still hopeful that the other teams do. Of course, I'm praying that we get out of this. But I wouldn't be surprised if we don't. I would not be surprised. I'll be frustrated as hell. I'll come on here and I'll be going, that Nuno's let me down again and the players have let me down again, defensive and all this sort of stuff, right? But I wouldn't be surprised if we go up there and he plays 5 at the back. He just floods the midfield with defence. He plays 1 up front. He doesn't start Wilson or whatever. And it's just the same thing again. I wouldn't be surprised. And as soon as we concede that we got nothing left in us and, we could get spanked 3 or 4-0. Or we put a fight for it. Or conversely, we could go out there and beat them 1 or 2-0 or whatever it is. Right? Or it could be anything. Right now, it could be anything. But I don't have confidence that Nuno, our manager, will give us that extra bit of salt and pepper, right? Just to give us a bit of spice in there, just to take it to them. I just don't believe it. I just don't believe it. And until I'm proven wrong, I'll never believe it. That's it. Listen, that's it. We coulda, shoulda, nearly won it yesterday. We didn't. That's it. We didn't have our shooting boots on. We didn't have our shooting boots enough. We could have easily let one in. That was the weird thing yesterday. I was just kind of muttering to myself every time we're going forward near the goal. I said, "Oh, it's coming now! It's coming now! Don't worry, everybody! Don't worry, everybody! We got this! It's coming! It's coming!" And then I'll be like, "Oh, it's not coming! Oh no, we're getting another attack! Oh no! Don't worry, lads! I'm touching the bloke next to me. I'm going, don't worry, we got it! No, it's not coming." And then as the game went on, I thought, no, watch out. Any minute now, they're going to score. Watch it, any minute now. The life of a football fan. It's rubbish, isn't it? Absolute rubbish. The old ticker. No good. I'm getting too old for this. The old ticker's just, I need to do something different. I need to go row down a river or something. Do something serene. That's what I need to do. Not enjoy watching people getting their faces punched in or teams disappointing, football teams disappointing me. I mean, just too old for it. Anyway, enough of that. Go and enjoy your Sundays. I hope you have a lovely week. Really do mean it. Thanks for all the support. Thanks for all the chat. You're amazing. You are. And on to Liverpool next week. And hopefully we can go up there and give them a bloody nose. That's what we want, don't we? Go all the way from down here, up there, right uppercut, bosh, right on the nose. Thanks very much. And all I can say is up the hammers, and I'll catch you again. Bye.